So today I'm going to be checking out this Honor 400 Smart 5G. To be honest, this is going to be quite an easy review to do because the phone is very similar to a lot of the other budget Honor devices I've used in the past. But I'm going to do it anyway, so let's get into it. So when it comes to the design of the Honor 400 Smart 5G, to be honest, as you can see, there's a lot of same going on. You've got that all plastic design with the matte finish on the back, which does resist fingerprints pretty well. And then you've got that camera housing on the back as well, which houses 4 camera rings, but in fact only 2 of them are camera lenses. And you've of course got your LED flash, and then just another one which is basically nothing. So overall, it's a very clean and minimalist design, typical of budget Honor devices, and it's one that I actually really like. Of course, on the sides, it's all plastic as well. And on the right, you've got your power button with your integrated fingerprint scanner, volume buttons. At the top, you've just got a microphone and an IR blaster by the looks of it. And then on the other side, you've got Honor's new AI button, which I'll go into a little bit more in a minute. And then of course, at the bottom, you've got the SIM tray with your USB-C charging port and a speaker grill at the bottom as well. Overall, design-wise, it's a typical budget Honor device, and it's one that I actually really like. And when it comes to the display on the Honor 400 Smart, it comes packing a 6.7-inch 120Hz TFT LCD display. Pretty typical for a phone in this price segment. The unfortunate thing is that this phone is packing just a 720p resolution. I think I was saying this back in 2023. Don't see why 720p displays are still a thing. I think all phones now should have at least a 1080p resolution. Not to say that this is a bad display, because unless you really pixel peeping, you're not really gonna notice loads of pixels here and there, if you know what I mean. 260 pixels per inch, obviously not as sharp as a 1080p panel. It's got nice colors, contrast is good enough, I think, for an LCD. But yeah, this is where it really shows its budget side. 720p, big thumbs down from me personally, but as you can see, it's a pretty nice and smooth panel. Big chunky bezels around the outside as well, which is to be expected, especially that chin. If I open settings, there we go, you can see the chin on the bottom there is pretty substantial. But nevertheless, the 720p resolution is the main downside for this display. Other than that, it's absolutely fine. I've not really had any problems with it at all. And then you just get a punch hole cutout in the top with your 5 megapixel selfie camera, which I'll get to a little bit more in a minute. So overall display, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10, just in terms of budget phones, that is, just because of that 720p resolution. Everything else is not too bad. Now, when it comes to performance on the Honor 400 Smart 5G, it comes packed with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 6S Gen 3, which was announced June last year. So it's been going for a little bit. Now, don't expect blazing performance, obviously, for a budget phone, but it's plenty for my typical use. I don't hammer my phones at all. So even a phone like this, rocking that sort of processor, is plenty for me for what I typically do on my phone. Now, of course, if you're someone that does a little bit more gaming, multitasking, and that sort of thing, you are probably going to struggle with this. And especially since the phone comes with just 4 gigs of RAM, you can expand it with Honor's RAM Turbo, an extra 4 gigs, but it's not the same. 4 gigs of base RAM, I think, is just a little bit too low for anybody that wants to do that sort of multitasking and gaming and stuff like that. 6 or 8 gigs at the very least, I think, is what you're going to need for that sort of thing. But overall, it's relatively fluid. Apps open pretty quickly. If I just flip between a few, bloody gestures, a few things here and there, open Amazon Music. I am connected to Wi-Fi as well, and not logged into my Amazon Music apparently. But yeah, everything is relatively smooth. That 120 Hz refresh rate does make the phone feel a little bit smoother as well. Now, as for software, it's coming with Magic OS 9 on top of Android 15. Of course, Magic OS 10 and Android 16 has just been released to the, I think I've just got it on my Magic 7 Pro. I haven't got it on my V5 just yet. So of course, this isn't going to get that for a long time. If it will get one, chances are it probably will. I'm not actually sure if this is part of the 6 years of updates for the Honor 400 series. I mean, theoretically it should be, because 400 Lite, 400 and 400 Pro get it. Not actually sure if this one does. I might try and do some digging and see if I'm going to find out. Unless you guys know, of course, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, so it's on older software, but it's absolutely fine. You get your usual customization options, themes, wallpapers, blah, 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 all that gump. I have got a video on my channel going through a few of the bits and bobs with Magic OS. I think I did that on the Honor 400 Lite, if you want to check that out as well. And I'm just rambling about stuff now anyway. So overall, in a nutshell, performance-wise, absolutely fine for the basics. Even for me, is absolutely fine. But of course, if you're someone that wants to do just a little bit more gaming, multitasking and that sort of thing, I'd try and go for something just a little bit more powerful. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, on the side, you've got Honor's AI button that if you press it, it comes up with Honor's AI Mobile Assistant, which gives you access to a few AI bits as well, which I've not really used it that much. And I'm assuming that this will change a little bit once it learns what you use regularly and whatever. But yeah, you've got options to just really tweak with your AI assistant button, etc. But not really something that I'm into, but the option is there if you want to use it. And when it comes to these cameras on the Honor 400 Smart, this is obviously an area where Honor have taken some big cutbacks to fit into that budget segment. So you get a 50 megapixel f1.8 primary camera, and that's just backed up by a simple depth sensor, that sort of thing, just to help with your portrait shots. And then you've just got a 5 megapixel selfie camera on the front in that sort of punch hole cutout in the top as well. Overall, in good daylight, the 50 megapixel camera produces some relatively decent photos. You are going to have some really nice lighting conditions to get the best out of it. Obviously, any moment where you lose a little bit of lighting, it's just going to drop in quality pretty quickly. Portrait shots are handled pretty well with the help of that depth sensor as well, just to give you a good subject separation. And then unsurprisingly, that 5 megapixel selfie camera, in good lighting, they're passable if you just want to video call or, I don't know, put a selfie on social media, something like that, absolutely fine. But you're not going to get a huge amount of detail from that 5 megapixel resolution. And then on the front and the rear cameras, video tops out at just 1080p at 30 FPS. And again, it's a similar story. Unsurprisingly, it's just budget quality video. I mean, you get a decent amount of color, stabilization is all right. There's not too much shakiness going on, but yeah, overall, don't expect huge amounts from this camera system in general, but it will get the basics done pretty well. And then when it comes to battery life on this Honor 400 Smart, you get a massive 6,500 milliamp hour battery, which is plenty enough to get you through a full day of pretty heavy use. You'll get a couple of days of moderate use as well. And then if you hardly ever use your phone, you could probably get 3 days from this, because it's just a really great size. Obviously, it's a massive battery. You've got that low resolution 720p display. The Snapdragon 6S Gen 3 is a low powered processor, so it's not going to be drawing too much power from that battery, and just going to be pretty efficient in general. So overall, you've got some really great battery life. Now, I've had my SIM card in this phone today. I've been at work, so I don't really use my phone that often. I mean, put it this way, I've only got an hour and a half of screen on time, and I'm still on 84%, and that is taking the phone off charge at like 7 o'clock this morning. So it doesn't speak much for the overall endurance, of course, only having an hour and 24 minutes of screen on time, but I suppose it does speak a little bit for the standby time as well. When I'm not using the phone, the battery life just stays where it is almost. It just drops 1% every few hours or something ridiculous like that. So in a nutshell, battery life on this, absolutely awesome. Don't expect much, like I said, from performance overall, but the battery life, you've got some really great endurance. And then just a few extras on this phone that I didn't mention in other segments. One of them, which I should have done, unfortunately, so I apologize about that. 128 gigs or 256 gig storage options. There is no micro SD card expansion. So if you're planning on storing loads of stuff on your phone, see if you can track down the 256 gig model. Both models are with 4 gigs of RAM. You've got stereo speakers. You've got a pretty fast, if I can show it, side mounted fingerprint scanner. I don't expect a under display, but it seems to work relatively well. IP64 water and dust resistance, and it's basically splashes rather than actual submersion. Bluetooth 5.1, so it's not the, what are they, 5.3, 5.4, the higher rating Bluetooth, whatever. So overall, yeah, the Honor 400 Smart, you kind of, it's one of those, could it be like you get what you pay for kind of situations? Like, it's not flashy in anything really, except maybe the battery life. That is really great, but it's just a phone that just works. It does what you need it to do. Battery lasts all day. Performance is absolutely fine day to day. The screen is nice enough, even though it's 720p and it is bright enough outdoors. I haven't had any legibility issues with it at all. Obviously the cameras aren't great, but overall, I think, and now the price has dropped, because when I did my unboxing video, I picked it up for 170 quid. Typically it's now dropped to 130 quid. So for that money, yeah, it's okay. I mean, the Honor 400 Lite is arguably a better buy, and you get a 1080p display, it's an AMOLED display. You definitely get those 6 years of updates, although how quickly they're gonna come, your guess is as good as mine. But either way, let me know what you think of this Honor 400 Smart. Is it a phone that you would consider buying? To be honest, I'm happy with it for what I use my phones for. But again, let me know down in the comments. Definitely hit subscribe if you're into more budget and mid-range phone and tablet reviews, a little bit like this. And I'll catch you in the next one.